wants to talk about longevity, right? Like that's a common topic, like when you meet up with friends, health, wellness, and longevity is always an evergreen topic, apart from religion and politics, of course.
It's all the same now. Actually, it's always about, I think the people rarely talk about politics nowadays.
No, it's more about like someone who's sick, I heard that this person, just got this disease and, this young person just passed on because of that. So it's...
People have social media to talk about politics.
That's true.
Yeah, so you have specific platforms which are completely taken over, so whatever political frustration, hatred or intolerance human beings have, they go and express that in social media nowadays. Yeah. So when people meet, they will talk only about two things. They will talk about money, right, and how to make money, because nobody talks about it in social media, because nobody wants to make those things public, right? And they will talk about health.
Yeah.
Because ultimately these two things are very, very connected. The healthier you are, the more money, the more chances for you to make money. And of course, the more money you make, the better you can maintain your health and get all the, some joys and pleasures in life, and so on and so forth, and be able to enjoy life.
And to pay your bills. Because again, as we know that medical inflation in any part of the world actually, regardless whether it's Malaysia or even in the US, on average, it's about 10 to 12% per annum. So literally, if let's say you're talking about the same procedure, even whether it's surgical or even consultation based, if you were to measure year on year, it goes up by 12-15%, which is really high, compared to even investments, right? Because,
right.
Like even like the best investments out there in the market, on average, get you like 8-9%. So medical inflation is definitely on the high list. So I think what we want to get at, with our boxes is about prevention is better than cure, right? Because getting sick, having to get yourself checked.
That's a very banal thing to say, and I think it's a bit outdated, And yes, it's correct, it's right. Of course, it works. It's better to prevent than rather to, and so on and so forth. But what we are talking about here is about everything has to be planned.
Right.
And there's a need to have a program.
Definitely.
And it's the same as you have a financial program in life. And everyone starts that financial program as soon as possible.
When they get the first paycheck.
Even before that, your parents gonna start there for you by purchasing the insurance, the life insurance, the savings, and so on and so forth. So you're gonna think of the college fund, maybe you want to save up the money for wedding ceremony, but now it's going to be cancelled. There's no more weddings.
Zoom. We're going to do Zoom weddings, so you save so much money on the hotels.
Yeah.
You can do like virtual backdrops.
Now you're going to spend on the food delivery.
Yes.
To everyone.
To the house.
Zoom participant. Every Zoom participant, because you need to order the food delivery and send it out.
Exactly, right.
It's a great idea, by the way.
Cheers, on Zoom, like, we're doing the bridal toast and the cake cutting.
By the way, it's a great idea for entrepreneurs. You can open an online wedding agency where you're gonna take care of the catering, food, flowers, whatever, some goodies, and even if the bride decides to throw the bouquet.
Yes. You can do a virtual catch.
You can do the virtual catch. It's same like playing the virtual golf in or like some chairs or maybe Counter-Strike or something like that. So it's like another game that my kids are playing all the time. Yeah. VR, so it's virtual reality. Everything is virtual. They think that is the reality, and the actual reality is not the reality. It's some kind of a torture. That's what they're thinking. Because nowadays I've been noticing that the smallest generation, when you are trying to drag them into the reality, into the real life, like into the woods, and all of that. They take it as a punishment. When you talk about the books or fictional books, some wonderful stories, and John Tolkien, the Fellowship of the Rings, that is like, oh my, what have I done wrong?
For Harry Potter, that works too.
No, but the reaction is, what have I done wrong?
So they don't like reading it?
No, why are you punishing me? Why is this punishment?
So reading is punishment?
Well, reading is controversial, everyone knows that.
Well, I like reading if it's a good book and I'm not forced to, do an exam for it.
Well, you gotta make sure also whom you read, because nowadays is a very popular trend to judge people based on whom you read, or you follow that guy, you watch that video, it means you are the misogynistic, racist, gender whatever, supremacist, and all of that.
That's true. Like, people judge you not just based on the books you read, but also on the movies you watch, the music you listen to, which person you're following on podcasts,
and
even sometimes the way you dress. Like, you're wearing that
which
flag.
TV channel or the news. Something
you're a Fox follower. You're definitely Trump. Or you're CNN.
So what?
Yeah, they have all that weird streamlining. So I think for us, right, what we want to do as informed, consumers is, first and foremost, like you said, knowing.
First and foremost, do not do the most horrible mistakes and the most often done mistake and the most unreasonable, uncalculated, reckless, if not to say desperate, step of doing it on your own. So just don't do it on your own, because you may succeed, but the chances that you will succeed are very, very, very low. They're just negligible. It's definitely 99.999. You're gonna fail. Okay.
When it's like trying to DIY
yes, the DIY, it just doesn't work like that unless you are a professional. When you are trained for that, it's not necessary to be a healthcare worker. It's not necessary to be a doctor or a nurse or health scientist or something like that. If you are a very well-educated and dedicated coach, and you have done some extra studies or something, I don't know whether it's in kinesiology or whether it's in just general some health, whatever, or something with the sports medicine orientation, that sort of stuff, and people been consistently working in that line, improving themselves, educating themselves. They have an experience, and most importantly, they are reasonable, they're rational, they do not rush into something, and they slowly, and they have a plan.
Yes, you don't just fly blind.
They always should have a plan. It should be a long-term plan, because things can be done fast, but the faster you do it, the less sustainable the result's gonna be.
Correct.
You want the sustainable result, so do it slow and steady.
Yes.
Not to say slow and steady, 1 step, 2 step forward, 1 step back, because that's gonna be a mistake that most of the people gonna do when they're doing it on their own. Or they will just knowingly or unknowingly just miscalculate, even if they think that they have calculated everything right. Still, it's better to be a second opinion.
Correct. And I think it's also, when you're talking about general health and fitness as well, it's also good to have what we call as SMART goals, right? Where they're very specific, right? They're very measurable, and essentially you can, there is a benchmarking system. But most importantly, it's also time bound, because a lot of times, like what you correctly pointed out as well, people tend to start off on something, right? Like January, the gym is always the fullest because people
Mondays,
like a New Year resolution.
People want to start. It's always it's easiest thing is to start. Right.
But not really to see it through, right? And so what we want to discuss is more of like having this box would be something that sort of just helps them stick to the plan, and even though it doesn't get them 100% the way there, at least it gets them halfway there, because supplementation would be half the battle won, I would say. The other half would be, of course, lifestyle change, exercise, and diet management and all of that. Would that be right to say that?
Well, perhaps at least 30%, because I still believe that at least 30% or maybe even half is genetics.
So you factor that in,
right?
As well.
You have to take that factor into consideration. There's nothing wrong about it. Okay, we're all different.
Correct.
And that is the main reason why we need to identify those little specific things and little differences and peculiarities that everyone has. That's why everyone, for that purpose, there have to be some kind of a standard of assessment.
Right.
And the tools that you use, they also got to be standardized, right? So if, say, for the general health and lifespan and health span management, there's specific parameters of the blood work, that everyone has to do. We're not going to go into details now, but there's a specific list. And there are also other indicators, the specific tests or the performance tests. Some of them are more complicated. You can do them in a full range. That's what is done in a sports medicine. But there are simpler tests. Even the ability to wake up from the squatting position with the help of the hands. Yes, there's different tests for the frailty, and they can be applied for a young chap, a very young individual who is quite athletic and all, and well, he wants to be even more athletic, but improve the performance and all. So these things can be applied also for the aged person.
Okay.
Yeah, even well, if you think that these tests are very simple, it's just because I mentioned that some squatting, or how many times you're going to wake up from the squatting position, or whether you're able to do it within less than 5 seconds without the help of the hands.
Sounds easier than it is, but actually doing it, I think, would be...
Well, yeah, you can do it, but then the test goes beyond that. If you can do it 5 times, are you capable of doing that 5 times? Or other very simple tests are the push-ups.
Strength of the arms.
No, well, it's not really a strength of the arms. It's an indicator that says that what are your chances to survive? Is your heart fit? Are you cardiovascular and strength-wise? Are you fit or not?
So how many push-ups must I do to know if my heart is strong?
It's not about the heart strong. It's more like a predictor of mortality or predictor of the cardiovascular disease, whether you have chances to develop it.
Okay.
A lot, like close to some between 50 to 90%, something like that. I don't remember the figure specifically. Yeah.
Right.
But we are talking about 40 push-ups.
So if I can do 40 comfortably, I'm safe. If I can't do 40 and I'm having shortness of breath,
inability to perform 40 push-ups in one go already is a risk factor. If you are around 40 years old, entering 5th decade.
I think for me, the last round I tried doing push-ups was probably 20 to 30. But this was like 10 years ago, but I thought it was really more because, I was just lacking upper body strength.
No, it's not about that, but it's a good thing to do. And squats also, and waking up from them without the help of the hands. Even look at this. There was a moment in life, there was a point in life when I had to make it a conscious effort that every time when I'm gonna stand up from the chair, I was not supposed to use hands.
Okay.
Just without the use of the hands.
Right.
The idea of doing that, surprisingly, came to me after participating in the kinesiology course.
Okay.
Yeah, and there was something. Well, it's again, it's a bit of a controversial paradigm, put it this way. Okay. I don't want to call it controversial science or controversial teaching or treatment modality, whatever. Just controversial paradigm with it, and there are different types of it, and there are different interpretations. But definitely there's a rationale behind it.
Of course, right? Because it's human movement and you're predicting, right? Certain things.
It's based on that. It's more like towards the chiropractic and all of that, Because but that also has a lot of good reason behind it.
There's a biological reason, right?
Yes,
why
of
are
course.
you doing it this way, swinging it at 45 degrees?
Yes, of course. And even look at it in a very simple way. I remember on one of the conferences, and it's been years ago, in US, and we were speakers there. And then there was a chiropractor from US, and he was a very charismatic guy, extremely charismatic, beautiful presentation and all of that, And he was showing everything with his own body. It was like a performance on the stage, And what he was talking about, he said, look, when you are happy and when you are young, you don't hunch like that when you walk. You try to straighten up your spine and all. And definitely, if every aging person will just try to recall and look back at them. Or if we look at the old people, very often we see them how they hunch and they cannot walk straight, And if you recall yourself, definitely in teenage or in 20s, early 30s, you are more straight up, and then you lose your posture, your gait is not as it used to be, and you're getting tired more. You're more tired towards the end of the day, Of course, that is all aging. You just can't blame it all on aging, right? Which is true, But that aging, it consists of different components, right? And your hormonal status is one of them. The strength and the actual composition of your muscle, the ratio between the fast twitch and the slow twitch muscles. Well, of course, it all is genetically predisposed and all, right? And different groups of muscle will have a different composition, but still, it will deteriorate as we age, And
wear and tear, even like a car, right?
Yeah.
Run it.
Is a bit more interesting object to look into. So all of that has to be assessed, and there are ways how you can assess it, even on the heart variability test. So when you put all these things, there are even tests for the cognitive function that are used for people with a cognitive decline,
dementia, and all of that.
Yes, of course. And there's a neurological assessment. So all of that holistic assessment should be done with perhaps a different frequency for different cases, for different age categories and all, or people of a different type of activity.
Right? Or lifestyle, right? Like if some people, they are more, their lifestyles are, let's say, more, for the lack of a better term, damaging. Like they party a lot, maybe they use recreational substances, or maybe they drink a little bit more than they should.
No, it's not even about that. You see, you're looking at something extreme, or you try to bring the element of vices, here.
Not really vices, but more of lifestyle choices.
But the lifestyle choices, the reality of the lifestyle choices. Don't look into that. That is a common mistake that all people do.
Yeah, because they think that two sides, right? I eat healthy.
They think that. I can be damaged only if I drink tequila all night long, and I don't know, party and take the street drugs and stuff like that. Well, that's quite a common misconception.
Okay.
Now, if speaking of today, perhaps not the time when we were born, but speaking of today, it all starts even before a person is born.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's such a thing as epigenetics. Okay, and how these epigenetics work, it's basically like that. Whatever you are doing, and especially if you're a female, especially if you're a female, you're not only influencing yourself, but you also influence the status of the cells of your reproductive system. Okay? So, and you might change or alter that gene expression even in those cells of the reproductive system. Okay? And the substances that change that are sugar, the fructose, and all the artificial sugars. Not to say, sorry, not the right way to say, the extra sugar and the fructose, the corn syrup, and all that stuff that is added.
So it's like processed sugar.
Yeah, the corn syrup, the fructose. Okay. Which is added practically everywhere. In all the products nowadays.
Yeah. Drinks, food.
I suggest go and watch lectures or presentations of absolutely genius, I believe. And not only genius, he is such a bright personality because he wants to bring that awareness to people, and just sometimes I can even see a bit of a touch of, not to say despair in him, but he's more intense. He's like, okay, you gotta listen to this.
This is important.
And this person is Professor Robert Lustig, if I'm not mistaken. And he's a pediatric endocrinologist from one of the universities in the United States, and he's one of the experts on the child obesity. And it's so simple, and that simplicity is so genius. All that you have to do, it's just for every parent who is a little bit responsible, who is not a complete moron, not a complete criminal in terms of the negligence to the children, just read the amount of calories and the content on the Coca-Cola, for instance. Okay? And just do the simple maths and multiply. Calculate the amount of
sugar
cans that your child takes in a year and convert it into the kilograms of the fat tissue that your child going to gain just by consuming that.